everybody. Y'all look cooler out there in the shade. I'm Alan Joynes, Mayor of the City of Winston-Salem, and it's my distinct honor to be here today. You know, this is one of those days where it's great to be the mayor and joining my colleagues up here you'll hear from in a moment as we recognize and honor one of the best guys I've ever known, Tim Grant. And we are in the Quarry at Grant Park, and as Councilmember Taylor, I'm sure, will reinforce this in the Southeast Ward, probably the best, if not one of the best parks in the entire city. Very unique park with these wonderful vistas and views, and Tim will probably tell you a little bit about the history of how all this came about. But I want to do, before we get into that, I just want to recognize former council member Molly Light, who Molly's family owned a piece of property in here that was absolutely necessary to make it all work. And Molly donated that to the city of Winston-Salem so we could move forward. And of course, Vulcan Materials donated the rest of it to us and some other acquisitions we had to make. So we're here today to officially dedicate this park and naming it after Tim Grant as we go forward. Mayor Pro Tem Denise Adams was with her this morning. She had a conflict that came up all of a sudden, and she's not going to be able to be with us today. So now it's my pleasure to call on the council member for the Southeast Ward, Councilmember James Taylor, and he'll be followed by Councilmember Barbara Burke from the Northeast Ward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel so good today. Let me ask one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
I bring greetings on behalf of the residents of the sensational Southeast Ward. Obviously, we've got some Southside family in the house. The work that we're doing here today is, I believe, is one of the reasons why we're so sensational. Mr. Grant, today is your day, sir. Thank you for your commitment and your dedication to serving the citizens of Winston-Salem and to serving the people of this community. We're dedicating this park to Mr. Grant today, but this park is so much bigger than just a park to this particular community. Many of you remember about 15 to 16 years ago when you decided to send me down to City Hall during the height of the Great Recession. Unemployment was at all-time highs, economic development was at all-time lows, and many of you, your property values were at all-time lows. With projects like these, we've been able to find what I consider to be more of a renaissance for this community. Now, I'm happy to say, 15 years later, we have created more jobs and more economic development than any other area of the city, and your property values have doubled. So this isn't just about a park. This is about moving this particular community forward, and we've been so successful with doing that because of the work of the staff, the voters of this particular project, and the genius of Mr. Tim Grant. Mr. Grant, we honor you, sir. We appreciate your commitment. And to everybody who helped to make this happen, thank you for what each and every one of you have done to make this city to be a better place to live, work, and relax. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Councilmember Barbara Burke, representing the Northeast Ward. I do understand I'm in the Southeast Ward today, so I want to show respect for that. We are here today because we are renaming this beautiful park, and I am so proud that we are now naming it the Quarry at Grant Park. Mr. Tim Grant, for years, was a committed and devoted servant of the city of Winston-Salem, and this is just one way for us to show our gratitude and our appreciation for all that he did for you, for us, for the city of Winston-Salem. So congratulations, Mr. Grant, and congratulations, Councilmember Taylor, for having this beautiful park in the Southeast Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. I also want to recognize our interim city manager is here, Patrice Toney, stand over there. And our assistant city manager, Aaron King, is there, along with a number of other city staff. So the voters of Winston-Salem, as Councilmember Taylor alluded to, approved bonds to help us get this park going, the first phase of it. Then they approved some more bonds so we could do the phase 2 for this. I got a feeling We may ask for a phase 3 and maybe even phase 4 as we go forward, but it's really shaped up to be a beautiful facility. I'm going to now turn the program over to William Royster, who's our current Director of Parks and Recreation here in the city of Winston-Salem, to describe the park and to introduce the honoree himself.
Good morning, early afternoon, everyone. I'm going to try to be brief as possible because I know it's hot out there, but I don't want to take away from just what this naming of this park for Tim Grant really means. He's given so much of his life, not just to the Recreation and Parks Department, and not just to the city of Winston-Salem, but to the city municipal government, but to the city of Winston-Salem as a whole. He's done so much and touched so many lives. We have former staff members that he worked with in Durham. That's where I met Tim. He brought me here. Known him for a long time, and I could say with absolute certainty that he's impacted a number of people, a number of families in just positive ways. He cemented himself in the city of Winston-Salem through his work in Winston-Salem State, through the city of Winston. And this park is only fitting to be named in honor of him because so much of the history of the city of Winston-Salem came from this park before it was developed as a park, back when it was a working quarry. I've known Tim for a very, very long time, almost 20 years. Shortly after we met, he came into my office in Durham and told me to turn my space heater off, and kind of made me upset. And but we've been close ever since. You know, I never mentioned that to him since that time, but it did kind of upset me, Tim, because it was cold in that office. But Tim has been a great friend. To me, he's been a great support system. He's been a great mentor, not just for me, but he's given me some of the tools that I use to help lead my staff and lead my department. I know that he's done that for many others. I'd like to take a minute to thank his family for sharing him with us for the number of years. And I know that he retired, kind of brought him back, but just want to take a time to say thank you because I know it takes a lot of time for him to do as much as he's done for the city of Winston-Salem. I said I was going to be brief. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the man of honor himself, Mr. Tim Grant.
Take your time, folks.
Please bear with me. I'm going to try to get through this. This day is not about me. It was about the people I work with, our We Play team, my staff, my teammates. So if you worked in Parks and Recreation when I was the director, would you please raise your hand and keep your hand up high, and let's give you a round of applause. I didn't go to work to get awards. I went to work to do the best job that I could for the citizens of Winston-Salem. So any award that I receive has to be also received by the people that work with me. So I want those of you that worked on our We Play team, I want you to know that this park is a part of you. It's a part of all of us. Boy, was this a vision. Years ago, about maybe 2 or 3 years, somewhere around 2010, but well before the bond referendum, came up and looked at this location. I'd heard about it for years, but you couldn't get up here because the city was using this as an old construction demolition landfill. So there was storm debris, trees here, old asphalt, concrete, a lot of bushes, a lot of wildlife, a lot of snakes. And I had this vision. So I started talking to people like Jim Conrad. Jim, is that you? I don't have my glasses on.
Jim Conrad, who was a chairperson of our Recreation and Parks Commission. Started talking to him, started talking to citizens, started talking to neighbors, eventually talked to other department heads, talked to council members, talked to former council members, any and everybody that I could get up here. And most people thought, why is this guy taking me up here in the woods with all this mess? We got to walk a little trail, a little path. But everybody that I brought here, we were able to go to the south end and get through the fence, and they could see the quarry. And everybody that saw that quarry, they were changed. They were changed. Because nowhere else in the state of North Carolina, and I would dare say the East Coast of the United States, will you be able to get this close to a quarry this size. And so if you have not been on the Overlook Bridge, please get up enough nerve to walk to the end of that bridge today. Because I guarantee that's the best view that you will get here in the city of Winston-Salem. I would like to say, are there any Recreation and Parks Commission members here? If you are here, please stand or raise your hand. Let's give them a round of applause. There are a couple of people I want to thank very quickly, and I hope I don't miss anybody. First of all, let me thank my family, Vicky, Asia, and Naya. You know, when I got married, I was coaching at Winston-Salem State University. I was never home. My wife stayed with me. And then I had an opportunity, Tom Fredericks and Bill Stewart offered me an opportunity, along with Nick Jameson and Denise Scott Johnson, to come and work in Recreation and Parks. And so I left the university and came to the city of Winston-Salem. And then I had an opportunity to go to Durham and work as the assistant director in the city of Durham, and also as the director in Durham. And when I left Winston-Salem, I had no intention of coming back to Winston-Salem. I just didn't think that was in my future. And so I left with a heavy heart and went to Durham, had a great experience in Durham. And then Tom Fredericks and Bill Stewart called and said, hey, there's an opportunity for you to come back. And so I'm very blessed to have had that opportunity to come back, what I call home. Because I've been here since I graduated Winston-Salem State in 19 and something. But I want to thank my family because they put up with me. My staff will tell you, I tried to go to everything, every event that we had, I tried to show up and lend support. We would go out of town to visit other locations, and my wife would say, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to ride around and see what the parks look like here in Chesapeake or in Norfolk or in Columbia. But that was just me. That's something I enjoyed doing. So I want to thank my family for putting up with all those late night meetings and activities that I had to go through. But it was all well worth it. I also want to thank city council members. When we brought this project forward, they were in full support. Councilmember Taylor and each one of the council members supported us fully. And I was just telling the mayor when I got up here, you would not believe what this property looked like before this happened. I mean, you just wouldn't. And to see this and see people using this and see phase 1 be completed, phase 2 is almost completed, and hopefully there's a phase 3. This is the most beautiful piece of property in the city of Winston-Salem. Yep. So I want to thank City Council. I want to thank all the city managers that I work for. Thank the current city manager, Patrice. Thank you. Thanks for your support and everything that you've done. But also a lot of city staff that I work with. Kurt Bierling, who was the real estate administrator for the city. He was the first person I brought out here. Derek Page, Greg Turner, Paul Norby. There's just so many people that really, when they heard the vision and they saw it, they bought into it, and I have to thank them. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank the citizens. The citizens that live up here on Flat Rock and Light Street, that live up here on Butler Street. They were very supportive. And if you've never been through a master plan process and a visioning session, it took us, William, what, a year? 2 years to finish all those meetings? But we were just blessed, and I want to thank God for that. But last thing I want to say is that all of you that are here, you're very special to me. I value your friendship and I value your love. And I want you to know this day and every day, I will continue to love you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's clear to me that it's altogether fitting and proper that we are here today to officially name this Grant Park. And we're going to ask the members of the stage if you would go join me over here and we'll unveil the official site. So, as mayor, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Winston-Salem, we hereby officially name this the Quarry at Grant Park.